Welcome, my friends, to another edition of More Bad News, brought to you, as always, by Camel Cigarettes. Take the Camels Challenge, smoke Camels for 30 days, and see for yourself what a difference Camels can make in your life. Well, my friends, it's been another week of very bad news. Maybe you noticed. At the university, many of the students were particularly minority students, LGBTQ students, Jews and Muslims, are all reporting fears. And the faculty and administration are trying to respond to student fears. So they're talking about having some programs or suggestions like sending students to the LGBTQ center where they have candy and cook coloring books, or they can go to the counseling center. And the faculty are also reporting fears, including fears of their students. One of my former students said that she was worried about losing her ACA insurance and not being able to afford her insulin. The counseling center can help with irrational fears. The fears that people are feeling now are much closer to those that the Polish Jews feared after the invasion of the Nazis to Poland, or the French felt after the Nazi occupation of Paris. Jean-Paul Sartre said, in 1944, he wrote about the feeling. He said, never were we freer than under the Nazi occupation, than under the German occupation. We had lost all of our rights, and first of all, our right to speak. They insulted us to our face every day, and we had to hold our tongues. They deported us en masse as workers, as Jews, as political prisoners. Everywhere upon the walls and in the press and on the screen, we found the filthy and insipid image of ourselves, which the oppressor wished to present to us. And because of all this, we were free. The more the Nazi venom crept into our thoughts, the more each precise thought became a conquest. The more the omnipotent police tried to enforce our silence, the more each of our words became a precious declaration of principle. The more we were pursued, the more each one of our gestures took on the nature of engagement. The frequently atrocious circumstances of our struggle made us at the same time live without any deceit, nakedly, in this torn and untenable situation, which one calls the state of existence. Exile, captivity, above all death, which one can easily shy away from during happier times, were our perpetual worry. And we were to learn that they were not avoidable accidents. Not every constant or objective threat, but we must discover in them our lot, our fate, and the deepest source of our being. My friends, there are dark times ahead, and we must brace ourselves. The suffering around us is not going to be easy to witness, and the suffering that comes to our own door may be more than we can bear. Over the past months, I have repeatedly said that this election would not decide our fate. Our destiny is sealed, our civilization is collapsing, and our species is headed to extinction. We are on the road to extinction, and it is not a pleasant experience. A few weeks ago, I reported that the economists predicted that he would win, but more importantly said that he has won over and over again in the last decade. We live in Donald Trump's America. A few weeks ago, I said that people didn't want to believe that he would win because they couldn't sleep at night if they believed he was going to win. We don't want to see the terrifying reality, so we convince ourselves that despite our anxiety, it will all turn out okay after the election. The polls were all over the place, and I thought that we were going to vote against him, and he would use shenanigans to seize power, but it was worse than that. I reported previously that the UN estimated that there are 36 million children under the age of 5 who are acutely malnourished. In other words, they are starving to death and not expected to survive. There are another 125 million children whose growth has been stunted by malnutrition. There are over 100 million people who have been forced to flee their homes because of violence, flood, fire. We have witnessed entire regions in Spain utterly destroyed by rainfall, driven years worth of rainfall in 24 hours. It's something that no city on earth region can survive. We have witnessed entire cities destroyed by hurricanes. We have seen entire cities destroyed by fire. We have also witnessed country after country turning to authoritarian leaders. Russia to Putin, India to Modi, Israel to Netanyahu, Venezuela to Maduro, Brazil to De Silva. We are witnessing a global move to authoritarian governments. The Democratic slogan was, "We won't go back." My friends, we won't go back, but we have to understand what forward means. We are moving forward towards the collapse of our civilization and the extinction of our species. So that's going to have to be it for this week. I know it's been painful. Uh, we need to learn to live our lives without hope. So take care of yourself, and I'll be back next week with more bad news. But before I go, I just did want to comment on Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Message, which I mentioned last week, the week before. I finished the book, and I just wanted to say that he is an anti-Semite. He has no sympathy for Jews and Zionism. And Zionism is simply evil in his view. And I'm a Zionist, and anyone who thinks that Zionism is nothing but evil is an anti-Semite for me. It is similar to people who believe that Judaism is just a religion, Zionism is just a political ideology. I was born to a people, and I am a Jew and a Zionist, not by religion or political ideology. I'm attached to my family and to my traditions, and Israel is my home. I stand against the fascism that's over there, and I'm our vision was not going to be true. The lion is not going to lay down with the lamb. Things did not work out as we hoped they would. But if hating America means that you hate me, I think you're a bigot. If hating Zionism means that you hate me and think that it's okay to assault me and verbally abuse me, then I think you're an anti-Semite. Now, I remind you that Martin Heidegger was clearly a Nazi. I mean, absolutely a Nazi. He belonged to the Nazi party. He never repented. All his life, he was a Nazi. And he has been one of the most important influences on my thinking advanced, developed, thought through things. I found him very useful. So I think I tend to be tolerant of Nazis and anti-Semites. They often have something interesting to say, and I believe they needed to be listened to. And if you filter them all out, you're not going to have any music or anything to read because they're all anti-Semites. It's like it's everywhere. Um, but I just wanted to clarify that. Um, I my heart goes out. Please take care of yourselves. Uh, it's difficult. I think it's easier for me because my perspective is unflinchingly negative. And I know that things are not going to get better. So I brace myself for the changes. This is a tipping point for us. It's a tipping point for the world. We're not going to go back. But we have to find a way to move forward towards our extinction, to be able to survive for another week. And with that, um, if this is at all helpful, my brother called me, shout out to Pete. He called me this week, just terribly upset. And I ranted about all the, destruction and the extinction and I finally said, you see, doesn't that cheer you up? And in fact, it does help to be there for him and to talk to him. So I hope this does something. It's useful for something, and that'll have to do for this week. I'll see you again next week. I'm sure with more bad news.